Welcome to another video. Elementry OS is an operating system we have never used before, yet one of our viewers asked us to review it, so we had to give it a try. Here's what we have learned after several weeks of its frequent use. Stay with us.
Elementry OS is said to be a Mac OS clone with its desktop environment called Pantheon. So, as users accustomed to the so-called classic desktop paradigm, or better to say old Windows workflow, we never dared to try it before. Here we have Elementary OS 5.1 called Hera. Let's start with the installation. For that purpose, we grabbed one of our spare external HDDs, formatted it to install Elementary OS on it. As was the case with our Ubuntu 2004 review, our test machine was Lenovo Z5170 laptop with 8 GB of RAM and 2.20 GHz i5 dual-core processor. Elementary OS is an Ubuntu derivative, so the installation process was smooth and familiar. If you have ever installed any of the Ubuntu variants, you will have no issues with Elementary OS whatsoever. The only thing we missed was the installation slideshow provided by some official or unofficial Ubuntu flavors. The installation process lasted about 12 minutes in total, having in mind that the machine is not the latest and greatest and that the system was being installed on the external HDD. We were quite pleased with the result.
Elementary OS team seems to be aware of the fact that the first impression is very important.
After the reboot and login, a user is met with a nice and clean Elementary OS desktop. The first thing you'll see is the Elementary OS welcome screen. We just quickly browsed through it. The Elementary OS's software center, called App Center, was instantly showing available updates. Meanwhile, we checked how the App Center was organized. As you can see, applications are offered in categories, with those trending on the top of the App Center window. Back to the updates, App Center provided the option to install all the available updates with one single click. Very good. With the process of installing updates finished, we turned our attention to the desktop. The first thing a new user will notice is that there is no right-click option on the desktop. Also, as you can see, the Close button was on the left side of the open windows. The next thing that caught our eyes was a dock on the bottom of the screen. It is the dock called Plank. It looks like a macOS thing. By default, it offers apps specifically designed for Elementary OS. Their names, like Mail, Calendar, Music or Videos, are pretty self-explanatory. Its default web browser is called Epiphany. It's a part of the GNOME project, but this one is integrated into the Elementary OS's Pantheon desktop environment. Now, what we have immediately noticed is that there's no minimize button on the browser window. But the way to get the browser or any other open app out of your way is just to click on its icon in the dock again. Simply, that's the way the Elementary OS workflow is designed. While we were clicking the other apps in the dock, we noticed that the system was fast and responsive, no matter it was installed on the external HDD. We also noticed that while calendar and music apps were bright themed, the videos and photos applications were dark themed. The System Settings application provides a way to manage your system. In the desktop section, we found a way how to change your desktop background, since, as we have mentioned before, there's no option to right-click on the desktop and change it traditionally. We also checked the Appearance, Dock and Hot Corner sections. Elementary OS's top bar is transparent. In the middle of it you'll find date and time and corresponding settings. In the top left-hand corner there's an Elementary OS start menu called Applications menu. The app's icons and descriptions are visible and easy to find. What we liked at first sight was that every single icon in the top right-hand corner had its own menu. The thing that we missed in Ubuntu 20.04. An interesting feature with the Elementary OS is the multitasking view. It enables a user to switch an open app to another virtual desktop. That's what we did with the Files browser, to show you an example. You can have as many virtual desktops or workspaces as you need. To improve your workflow in Elementary OS and its Pantheon desktop environment, you'll need to learn about keyboard shortcuts. You'll find those by pressing the Super or Windows key.
Now that we have met the Elementary OS desktop, the next question was how to add applications that we regularly use with other Linux desktops.
The place to start is the App Center. As we have said before, the App Center is organized into categories. Let's peek into the Office category, for instance. The category is packed with many apps, so we decided to look for our favorite Office suite by searching for it in the search box. It's been instantly found, and we decided to install it. But then the App Center popped up the window, which looks like a kind of warning, saying that LibreOffice, a default Office suite for so many Linux distributions, is a non-curated app. We believe this might look a little bit scary for a completely new Linux user. But being familiar with Ubuntu-based desktops, we decided to install it anyway, of course. But after the installation was completed, we realized that the Libreoffice apps were not installed. In many other Linux distros, after having installed this specific package, we had all of the LibreOffice suite installed. Could this be confusing for a novice user too? So we decided to install the LibreOffice apps one by one. Maybe it's better this way, because a user can decide which parts of the LibreOffice suite will have installed if she or he does not need the full suite. Let's check the LibreOffice version by opening the writer, for instance. It's the version 6.0.7.3 and it's quite old at the time of recording this video. It means we will have to check if there are other ways in Elementary OS to get newer versions of popular applications. As another example, we were searching for Focus, a very neat text editor that we frequently use. As you can see, the Elementary OS App Center gives priority to the Elementary OS curated apps and offers them at the top of the search results. But still, we were able to easily find the Focus writer and install it. With the non-curated app warning though. To complete our writing experience, we need to install the Microsoft Core Fonts package. We couldn't find the package in the App Center. Since Elementary OS is an Ubuntu-based distribution, we should be able to install the Synaptic Package Manager, where we will find the Microsoft Core Fonts package. We found Synaptic right away and installed it. Finding the MS Core Fonts was a piece of cake affair in Synaptic, and we decided to install it. Everything was going fine until a terminal window appeared and it seemed stuck. The installation needed the end-user license agreement acceptance, but we couldn't find a way to do it because other Ubuntu-based distributions offer a pop-up window that gives a solution. It took us a while to figure out that we somehow needed to scroll through the terminal window to the bottom and to find a place to say yes to the EULA license terms. After that, everything was alright and we were able to change default fonts in LibreOffice Writer. Okay, now let's try another one. If we type in Firefox in the App Center search box, it is offered under the non-curated apps section of the search results. We chose to install it. After the installation, the Firefox web browser was working fast, so we decided to put its icon in the dock by dragging it out of the Applications menu and dropping it down in the dock. It behaves as a proper Elementary OS application. Now let's see what happens with Kdenlive, a hugely popular video editing application. It's been found in the App Center and the installation was a straightforward process. When we tried to start the app, a window popped up saying that we were missing some recommended apps, so that Kdenlive could work properly. Okay, we closed it and opened the App Center to install one of the missing applications, a very popular one, VLC Player. Now, on a second try, Kdenlive started as it was expected. The version of the Kdenlive installed was 17.12.3, which is the version from the end of 2018. Ancient one in terms of the Kdenlive development. Another reason for checking the other ways of installing apps in Elementary OS. So, let's find out if app images will work with Elementary OS. We will start with Kdenlive. We opened Firefox and went to the Kdenlive download page. There was the option to download it as an app image, and that was exactly what we have done. We did the same with XNView MP, a very robust image viewer and editor. There's also the option to download it as an app image on their website. it was time to see if the downloaded app images would work as they usually do with other Ubuntu-based distros. We found the Kdenlive Live app image in the Downloads folder, right-clicked it and chose the Permissions tab. Then we click the Execute button within the Owner section. The next thing you need to do is to click the downloaded app image, which started instantly. The Kdenlive Live version is 20.04.1, which is one of the latest at the time of recording the video. We went through the same procedure with the XNView MP Photo Editor app image, and the app started as we expected it. Elementary OS 5.1 offers yet another way to install fresh apps, and it's those that are distributed as Flatpaks. While the likes of Peppermint OS and Linux Mint offer Flatpak by default in their software managers, Elementary OS does the same job in a slightly different way. Here you need to open the site flathab.org and find the app you wish to install. As an example, let's install Kdenlive Live Video Editor as a Flatpak. When you find it, first you need to click the Install button offered on the screen. This will only download the installation file to your Downloads folder. When you click the file, a window will pop up asking you if you are sure to install an untrusted app. Once all the details are fetched, you just need to click I understand box and you'll be presented with the option Install Anyway, and that's it. When we started the Kdenlive Live Video Editor application, its splash screen showed us that it was the version 20.04.3, which is the latest one at the time of recording this video.
We have managed to find our way through the system and to install applications that we need for our use case. Now it's time to check if Elementary OS here can be customized.
We went back to the System settings. There we opened the Desktop section again to check the Wallpapers Elementary OS Hera offers pre-installed. Under its policy of a well-curated and highly polished operating system, Elementary OS offers several high-quality desktop backgrounds by default. Let's take this one as an example. Now let's go back to the default one. Other items in the System Settings app do not seem to offer additional options to customize your system in terms of look and feel. That is the way the Elementary OS is designed. It offers a comprehensive, unique, polished, and curated user experience. Still, if you insist on tweaking and changing your system, you can do so by installing the app called Elementry Tweaks. In this way, you can customize your OS's appearance, fonts, animations, and some of the default applications, for instance. To install Elementary Tweaks, you need to copy these 3 lines of code into your terminal. A novice user might consider this a kind of a hack, but we believe it's not a big deal after all. Since our goal was to explore the Elementary OS Hera as it is, we chose not to install Elementary Tweaks, but it's good to know that there is a way to customize your OS. Speaking of the look and feel, it's worth mentioning that Elementary OS behaves in a way similar to your mobile phone. As you can see, when we reopened the Files application, it did not start in its default state, but as we last closed it. That's why the Files app does not offer a minimize button by default. When you open it again, it will take you back to where you left it. Another thing is one-click, which is also a feature typical of Elementary OS. In addition to that, although there was no right-click option on the desktop, that functionality works in the files, offering options to manage the content of your folders.
All in all, we have been quite happy with Elementary OS 5.1 era. If you are trying to find a complete, well-thought-out operating system, then look no further than Elementary OS era. We highly recommend it. Tell us what's your experience with Elementary OS in the comment section down below. What would you suggest to new users? We do hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time!